How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about SNDL Sundial growers. You guys saw what happened today inside of the market, and I was telling you, I love seeing SNDL when it's in the 70-cent range. So you know what? We're going to be talking further. So before we get started, let's jump into the agenda. If you are new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you are a shareholder or you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to be going over is the technical analysis, taking a look at support as well as resistance and what we want to look forward to going into next week, and as far as if you have a strategy for playing off the fluctuation. And then we're going to be taking a look at the short interest information on Fintel. Yes, we have the updates. They are now using FINRA's data, so we're going to see things that are a lot more closer to the actual numbers. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know, are institutions loading up? What is the activity looking like for today? We're about to find out. And then when all of that is done, we'll be jumping into the final thoughts. So let's get to it. So we're going to be doing a technical analysis for SNDL Sundial growers. Let's see how it performed on the day. So it ended up closing at 79 cents, being down 3.39%. On the low, it tested 79 cents, and then on the high, testing 83 cents. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 84.273 million shares. And as far as for the average volume over 10 trading days, it's usually around 94.1 million shares. So it was below average, and part of the reasons why, not too surprised that we had some downward pressure in the overall stock price. But one thing that is good to see, we can see in the post market at the time of this recording at 5:25 p.m. on Friday, you can see, hey, it looks like it's gaining some steam here. It's here at 82. So when we take a look at our chart here, we're using a 1-year daily chart. You can see from the RSI down below, still being in that oversold territory, being at around 39.57. And of course, as far as the indicators on the chart, we are below the 100-day, the 21-day EMA, and of course, we have broken through the 200-day as well. But again, you guys know, I love buying up SNDL when it's in the 70-cent range. It gives you that opportunity if you wanted to trade off the fluctuations or you're waiting for that dollar pop. Another thing we have to understand, and I've talked about this, is $1 is a psychological area. So if we are able to get past this particular area with a lot of buying volume, then I'm definitely looking forward to seeing a move to the upside where we can get to the 105, where will be the next area of resistance. And if we can pass that, then of course looking forward to 113 and then making that move continuous. But we need to make sure we have the right expectations here. So let's first focus on hitting that $1 level. So as long as it's not doing that, and if it is deciding to pull back, you guys know I'm adding to my position. So as far as going into next week, what I want to see, hey, if it wants to go back even more into the 70s, and I'm talking about 77 or even getting to here around 72 and so forth, I'm going to be adding up shares because I do feel that SNDL should be able to have a pop to $1 at some point, so I don't mind accumulating. So taking everything into consideration here, definitely the kind of day where, you know what, I'm actually not too surprised in regards to how SNDL performed. We've talked about this, and for the most part, I'm actually happy with its performance so far. So we're on Fintel. We're going to take a look at the short interest information for SNDL. So we can see it here at 42.89% for the short volume ratio. So very significant there. That's double what we normally look for stocks that have short squeeze potential. As far as for the short shares availability, it is at 10 million, updated 2 minutes ago. And as far as for the short borrow free rate, it's at 1.72%. So we could see Fintel made some updates, and we now have short volume ratio numbers from FINRA. So you can see here as far as July the 22nd being at 55.97, and we can see from the prior history, definitely right up there being at the top, but we could see on the July the 16th, it was as high as 56.89. So definitely a big difference from the number that we see here, and it's part of the reasons why there's a lot of manipulation and there's a lot of pressure on SNDL stock. When we have low volume, we're more likely to have pullbacks, and this short volume ratio definitely does add to that. So that's one thing that's good to get a heads up on. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for SNDL. So we can see here on the inflow, we have 20, and on the outflow, we have 24. We have 0 on the large, 13 on the medium, 17 on the small. On the outflow side, we have 17 on the medium, 7 on the small. Large-scale orders in the last 5 days still continue to be zeros down the board. Institutions are not taking any large-scale orders for SNDL whatsoever. But the good thing is we're not seeing it on the outflow side, right? It'd be different if it was like, you know what, we saw some zeros. Yeah, we saw an outflow day, but it was like if we go like 6 trading days technically, but at the same time, at least we're not seeing consistent outflows. But of course, if we were seeing consistent outflows, I feel like the stock price would be coming down even further. So if they are getting involved, then most likely they're just going in with small or medium orders, whether it be inflows or whether it be outflows. And we already know as far as the overall float, it is owned by retail investors. So I feel if you see stocks that are pulling back and a lot of people getting frustrated and just saying, well, you know what, the hell with this thing, it's not going where I want it to go, you're going to see a lot of selling. And of course, today is Friday, right? So now let's jump into the final thoughts and some more details. So for my final thoughts for SNDL Sundial growers, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how well it performs going into next week. You can benefit in either direction. You can go with saying, well, you know what, I'm only going to be buying SNDL when it's in the 70-cent range, and that's where you want to look to actually accumulate some shares. And then when it makes that move up, you could decide whether you want to sell under $1 or after it hits $1. It all depends on what your game plan is. But as far as where it's at right now, I'm not frustrated at all. Again, my strategy is to accumulate. Secondly, as far as for the overall potential of the stock, which we talked about many times inside of this channel, we've been seeing some improvements. So of course, we're looking forward to seeing more improvements on their next earnings report. We already know about the investments that they have been making. We also know about the acquisitions. And the matter of the fact is, with the cash that they have on hand, the good thing is they are putting it to use. The other thing is, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information with the numbers that are coming from FINRA, I must say, wow, there's a lot of short squeeze potential in SNDL. So if we get like a certain catalyst that ends up coming through the cannabis sector, SNDL could definitely benefit from this. And then also as well, one thing to keep into consideration, when you have a stock like SNDL and there's not a lot of volume going through it, then of course you're going to see more likely for it to actually pull back a little bit. The great thing about it is it hasn't pulled back that much whatsoever. And do understand, as far as the shift that's going on in the market, we're going through earnings seasons. You're seeing a lot of the big caps, institutions are pouring a lot of money into them. They're reporting good earnings and so forth. So of course, a lot of money is going to be moved out of a lot of the growth stocks that are medium to small caps, right? So just take everything into consideration, realize what's in front of you. And as far as these dips, I see them as opportunities, especially if you believe in the long-term prospects of the cannabis sector and the industry as a whole. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll be talking real soon.